3 people jumped. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. Diane, you're welcome to come on in. There's a couple of empty seats. Well, you're still welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. And my name is still Ray Knudsen, and I'm very pleased to be your worship leader today for a very special, and I must say very challenging service, as you will discover. We welcome all at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. All of you are welcome, and all of you are sacred. And those of you that are joining us on internet, welcome to you as well. We are delighted that you're here. This congregation is all of us, in person and online. If you're a new online visitor, you'll find a link, to our office, to our address in your online links. And we would love to connect with you.
Let's call ourselves to worship with these words from Nathan Ryan, a renewed hope for this world. Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse that you've brought into this sanctuary that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is keeping you distracted or caught up in shame or guilt or hopelessness, just leave it behind. If you need it, it will be there when we're done, but for this hour, just let it go. Come into this place with open hearts. Come into this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for this world. Come into this place ready to build a world we've always been worthy of and have always dreamed of. Let's sing.
If you're joining us online and you have a candle or a chalice nearby, please get ready to light it. We invite you to type into the chat box where your chalice is lit, the street or neighborhood, or what city if you're joining us from outside Boulder County. And now I'd like to invite Janet Evans to light this morning's chalice.
Good morning. So today's Chalice Lighting is a poem by Alicia Ostreicher. It's called Ghazal, America the Beautiful. So a ghazal is actually, it's a Persian poetry form that uses couplets. And each couplet repeats the last word, which in this case is the word America. So a ghazal, America the Beautiful. Do you remember our earnestness, our sincerity in first grade when we learned to sing America the Beautiful? Along with the Star-Spangled Banner, and we'd say the Pledge of Allegiance to America. We put our hands over our first grade hearts. We felt proud to be citizens of America. I said one nation invisible until corrected. Maybe I was right about America. School days, dear old golden rule days, when we learned how to behave in America, what to wear, how to smoke, how to despise our parents who didn't understand us or America. Only later learning the banner and the beautiful, they live on opposite sides of the street in America. Only later discovering the nation is divisible by money, by power, by color, by gender, by sex, America. We comprehend it now. This land is two lands, one triumphant bully and one still hopeful America, imagining amber waves of grain blowing in the wind, purple mountains, and no homeless in America. Sometimes I still put my hand tenderly on my heart, somehow or other still carried away by America. I light this chalice in honor of our home, America.
Thank you, Janet. And now we invite all those gathered in your various locations to join together in fellowship and community as we all say aloud together our congregation's covenant. And please rise as you do that. Hold hands if you feel comfortable doing so. And now we gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it. Thank you.
Our meditation for this morning is called a survival meditation. It's by Nathan Walker, and it will begin and end with the sound of the mindfulness bell. Take a deep breath. Let it out. A few more. Breathing in, I am aware of my pain. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my pain. Breathing in, I am aware of my past. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past. Breathing in, I am aware of my anger. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my anger. Breathing in, I am aware of my despair. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair. Breathing in, I am aware of peace. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace. Breathing in, I am aware of love. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love. Breathing in, I am aware of joy. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of joy. Breathing in, I am aware of hope. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of hope. Breathing in, I am aware. Our commitment to connect bravely means that we are called to be glad with those who rejoice and to weep with those who mourn. Each week, we set aside this time in the service to make visible in ritual the joys and sorrows that are now shaping our lives. For those meeting in person, you will be invited to come forward as you feel so moved. Today, we'll go back to an older form of our ritual, perhaps in honor of the fireworks that are characteristic of the 4th of July, and we'll light candles, and Ray will assist you with that. Our thoughts are with those who are in sorrow. There are many. There are many in this room. And we ask that we stand in fellowship with one another in our sorrows. After the service had begun, I was handed a concern, and I'm going to read it to you now. This is from Barb and Fred. We got back from Portland Monday evening. That was the GA convention. Tuesday at 6:30 a.m., Kendall, member and daughter of Barb and Fred, was found unresponsive at home. All the vehicles and folks in blue arrived and took her to the ER. She was intubated and given a sedative. She has a brain bleed similar to a stroke. The respirator was removed Thursday, and she is in intensive care until yesterday evening when she was moved to a regular room. Her situation is still critical, but each day there has been some improvement. Our thoughts and prayers are with your family. And we also remember our joys. And so as you come forward with either a sorrow or a joy, we hope to share with you in that as well. Please come forward. And now we're reading a poem by Langston Hughes, Let America Be America Again.
Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free.
America was never America to me.
Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man may be crushed by one another.
It was never America to me.
Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath. But opportunity is real, and life is free. Equality is in the air that we breathe.
There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free.
Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stairs?
I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro, bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man, driven from the land. I am the immigrant, clutching the hope I seek, and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man, full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient, endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker, sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean. Hungry yet today despite the dream. Beaten yet today, oh pioneers. I am the man who never got ahead. The poorest worker bartered through the years. I am the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave and true, that even yet its mighty daring sings. In every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become.
A homeland of the free.
The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed and all the songs we've sung and all the hopes we've held and all the flags we've hung, the millions who have nothing for our pay, except the dream that's almost dead today.
Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet and yet must be, the land where every man is free.
The land is mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream again. America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet, I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin, the rape and rot of grift and stealth and lies.
We, the people, must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains and the endless plain, all the stretch of these great green states, and make America be America again.
When I was a newly minted UU, that would have been the spring of 2008, I heard a sermon from this pulpit that I'll never forget. Well, I heard a sermon from interim minister Becky Gunn, the opening line of which I'll never forget. I must confess I don't remember anything else about her message that spring day. I'm sure it was full of meaningful insights and metaphors of rebirth and new life and new beginnings. It was Easter Sunday, that highest, holiest of Christian holidays, and as a former Lutheran minister, I was quite interested to hear how the Easter story would be treated in your typical UU congregation. Reverend Becky started her message this way. Well, I suppose I ought to say something about Jesus. This weekend, as you all know, we celebrate Independence Day, the highest, holiest holiday of our country. So about a month ago, when I volunteered to deliver the message on July 3rd, I thought to myself, I suppose I ought to say something about America. So here goes, rushing in where angels fear to tread. Regarding Independence Day, thoughts on our national distress, some of them hopeful. How do any of us feel this year, this particular week, about celebrating this holiday marking the birth of our nation? How patriotic? How hopeful? How anxious? Do we still hold the dream enshrined in our Declaration of Independence? Can we get back to the place of being a bright, shining city on a hill? Were we ever that, really? Can we still imagine and work for the American dream, or a dream America? I must confess that being patriotic has not been high on my values list, at least not since high school in the late 60s, confronted with a civil rights struggle and an unjust war that could quite possibly alter or end my life. Certainly not patriotic in the way some people used that term then and still do now. Patriotism as expressing pride in and devotion to one's country. Enthusiastic support for all things, as one of my professors would have said, American. Blind patriotism, some would call it, an unquestioning support and allegiance intolerant of criticism. My country, right or wrong. America, love it or leave it. Mark Twain skewered blind patriotism in his time with another definition of a patriot as the person who can holler the loudest without knowing what he's hollering about. Of course, there's a more nuanced competing definition, one that supports questioning and criticism with the goal of positive change. James Baldwin, grandson of slaves, wrote, "I love this country and therefore have the right to criticize it perpetually." In 2008, Michelle Obama touched the third rail and got damning criticism back when she said on the campaign trail, "Let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult life, I'm really proud of my country because it feels like hope is finally making a comeback." Contrast that with last week's report on polling that has showed only 38% of adults in America said they were extremely proud to be Americans. A record low, as measured by Gallup, which has been asking the question since 2001. Prior to 2015, expressing extreme pride was never lower than 55%. CNN's summary in the article says, these numbers point to a startling reality. The ties that bind us together as a nation are loosening with every passing day. But we know that, don't we? We've known it for quite a while now. Two Americas, two realities, two worldviews. American exceptionalism v. a failing America. The Great Divide. There's an incredibly powerful scene in the pilot episode of the HBO series The Newsroom. Has anybody seen that? A few. It captures that divide. A TV news anchor, played by Jeff Daniels, is sitting on a college panel. He's emotionally checked out, hearing the same shouting match between right and left that he's been hearing forever, and the arguments have just become noise. A student asks, "What makes America the world's greatest country?" And he dodges the question with glib answers.
Let's move on to the next question. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm a sophomore, and this is for all three of you. Can you say in one sentence or less what... you know what I mean. Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis?
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Will?
The New York Jets.
No, I'm going to hold you to an answer on that. What makes America the greatest country in the world?
Well, Lewis and Sharon said it. Diversity and opportunity and freedom and freedom.
I want a human moment from you. What about the people? Why is America
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, you know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so smart, how come they lose so damn always?
Hey.
And with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the you're talking about. Yosemite? Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
Let's face it, America is in decline and in a lot of trouble. And this has been a particularly terrible, horrible, no good, very bad week. You know the headlines, but I'm compelled to replay them because they are the needed context for thinking about how we might respond. You already care deeply about the issues and grieve the trends, which are mostly all heading in the wrong direction. I'll try to make this part mercifully brief. Roe v. Wade, reproductive health, privacy, the right to choose, 50 years of precedent, settled law, constitutional protection, gone. Gun rights limited for public safety? No can do. Separation of church and state. No more football coach kneeling for prayer in the middle of the field? Reversed. The Environmental Protection Agency, for God's sake, working to combat climate change? Cut off at the knees, unless you think Congress can agree to give them a mandate. And what are the odds on that? And that's just this week. That's just the Court Supremes, 9 aging, unelected arbiters of wildly unpopular policy. Oh yes, and we also heard new damning evidence from the January 6th hearings about the seditious conspiracy to sack the Capitol, perhaps kill the Vice President, and put a stake through the heart of democracy. And yet, uncertainty about whether charges will be brought. We've experienced a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad, soul-sickening, hope-crushing week. Some women's groups started a movement on TikTok, whatever that is, for a boycott of July 4th celebrations this year. They said, let's just sit this one out in protest of the stark reality of losing freedoms instead of gaining them. And now, in this hour, in this room, can we find some positive ways to respond and make a difference? Believe it or not, I think there are some. This is not over. Don't lose hope. We'll come back to that. 246 years ago, some of the white, male, mostly wealthy migrants on North American soil made a bold decision. They decided to unite, to declare independence as a new, untried type of nation. They had already been engaged in guerrilla warfare for a year with the mother country, but they went all in. The war would go on to last 7 more years. For most of it, no funding, no allies, barefoot, in the snow, and yet, in the end, with a little help from the French, they prevailed. Wow. And what were they fighting for again? Well, tax relief for one thing, lower prices for imported tea, for some, the right to enslave Africans. But also, some crazy notions about freedom from tyranny, self-determination, representative government, the idea that all people have certain rights, and don't forget the pursuit of happiness. This really was a bright spot in world history. In that moment, and as the decades and centuries have rolled by, we can be rightfully proud of our ancestors and institutions for that, while at the same time clear-eyed and remorseful about the deep flaws, failures, and hypocrisy that have dimmed the light of what might have been. And so we accept responsibility to keep the dream alive, to kindle the flame when it gutters, and work to make the lofty goals a reality. But how? And how now? As Unitarian Universalists, I think our touchstones are the rarely highlighted 5th and 6th principles. Over there. I don't think I've ever heard a talk here about the 5th and 6th principles. The rights of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, with the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. So I agonized and I struggled, and I thought of 4 potential ways to respond. I'm sure collectively you could come up with a few more and better ones. So I'm just asking you to process with me and counting on you to be gracious with me in the struggle. And if I say some things that to you indicate I have bats in my religious or civic belfry, please join me in the effort to get it right. And I'd love to have a talk back after the service. Maybe we can meet in the Emerson room. Bring your coffee, but don't spill it on the carpet. Before I give you my 4, here are a few others I decided not to include on my list. Run for office. Give more money to candidates that you like who are running for office. Embrace fighting dirty because they do. Listen to CNN 12 hours a day and stoke your outrage until, like the Incredible Hulk, you turn green and acquire superhuman strength, which is quite useful for battling villains. All of these I've tried and either failed or found ineffective. Your results may vary. Here's the first one I want to highlight. Mutter, "This too shall pass," and pull the cover over your heads and sleep till it's over. Seriously, that could work. It's entirely possible that the world may come to its senses, reverse course, and usher in the dawning of a bright new day. It's a fact that things go in cycles. The pendulum swings. Balance gets restored. And if trying to engage in what seems like a hopeless struggle is destroying your mental health, which is understandable, then mandatory self-care demands disengagement, at least for a season. On the other hand, it's essential to have all available able hands on deck. Number 2, more of the same, but try harder. This sounds pejorative, but I don't mean it that way. Yes, Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is insane, or something to that effect. But as the Scientific American website points out, what Einstein described as insanity, according to quantum theory, is the way the world actually works. In quantum mechanics, you can do the same thing many times and get different results. And I know this from personal experience in trying to get my computer to work or even just to accept my password. In many cases, what we thought was maximal effort turns out in hindsight to have been only the beginning of what we could do. It's usually really, really hard. But try again is often part of the road to success. We will get very weary and desperately discouraged, but take heart in knowing that so have others who have gone on to change the world. On the other hand, the fact may be that no amount of citizen engagement, organization, or fundraising will ever be able to overcome the persistent drumbeat of the conservative media supported by the deep pockets of corporate capitalism. I have a real problem seeing any breach in that great wall of denial, obstruction, and corruption unless there's a radical change. Which brings me to number 3. Agree to a divorce and start a new life or a new country. Accept the verdict of irreconcilable differences. This is a pathway that I've gotten seriously interested in. I actually thought I invented it when it dawned on me a few months ago, but research has shown it's been out there for a while. And it's been put out there by folks from both sides of the divide, which is interesting. I never thought I would agree with any idea espoused by Georgia Congressmember Marjorie Taylor Greene. But here's the voice in my head. We don't agree with you. You don't agree with us. What purpose is served by an endless continuation of obstructing the other side? If we agree to disagree and go our separate ways, we can both be engaged in the pursuit of happiness, just on different pathways. It doesn't have to be acrimonious or even contested. Think of it as a trial separation, a workshop in democracy. Nobody has to convince anyone else they have the right to secede. We just select our representatives, set policy, pay taxes, and work toward a better future. We're not talking about putting up walls. That would be stupid. We're certainly not going to wars and start killing each other. That would be insane. Maybe it becomes a workshop in democracy, an experiment to see which way results in more peace, more progress, domestic tranquility, and social development. And maybe, like some divorcees do, we'll come together again as a family in the future. We can still visit and trade and discuss and cooperate, but without the pressure to prove our rightness or defeat the other or win the wealth and power in the contest politics that has degraded into being. And there could be a smaller but stronger new American Union, let's call it, to once more raise the torch and help lead the world back to safety. So how would that work? To be determined. Maybe state by state. Bob, if you have those slides. Here are a couple of maps that have been imagined. State by state, or county by county. Next slide. This map shows contiguous counties across the country, some red and some blue. If this all sounds completely radical and absurd and criminally disloyal to our forebears who bled and died to preserve this union, consider these words from Thomas Jefferson, inscribed on the wall of the Jefferson Memorial. I am not an advocate for frequent changes in laws and constitutions, but laws and institutions must go hand in hand with the progress of the human mind. As that becomes more developed, more enlightened, And as new discoveries are made, new truths discovered, and manners and opinions change with the change of circumstances, institutions must advance also to keep pace with the times. We might as well require a man to wear still the coat which fitted him when a boy, as civilized society to remain ever under the regimen of their barbarous ancestors. If this all sounds completely opposite from the tried and true wisdom that runs from Aesop through Patrick Henry, Abe Lincoln, Winston Churchill, Taylor Swift, Dumbledore, united we stand, divided we fall. Consider this. The oath of office of all of our representatives in Congress, the oath that they take, defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. How does one defend against an enemy that is one of us? Against a domestic adversary who took the same oath and sees us as the enemy? Does united we stand still apply? Doesn't united we fail? Divided we have a chance become a more realistic motto? Let's move on to the last option. And these aren't in order of preference. Bridge the divide with listening, active, empathetic, and affirming. In her 2020 book, Beyond Contempt, How Liberals Can Communicate Across the Great Divide, Erica Edelson makes a powerful case that contempt and disdain toward the residents in Trump world hardens their resistance and strengthens their allegiance to the ideologies that we think are destroying us all. She prescribes an approach that understands and appreciates the situation of those who are, or feel they are, left behind in this America. And they only have two choices to come to terms with that. Either they're at fault because they're lacking something, or someone's doing it to them. And Fox News is happy to provide a host of scapegoats to choose from. And she provides a host of examples in her book on how simple listening has broken the gridlock, person to person. On the other hand, that seems to be a very long project. And how much time do we really have to change the game before it's too late? There have been dark days before, and America has come through intact. Though the elements of social media, cyber warfare, and a twice impeached president who still claims the last election was stolen and threatens to run again are new. Minds could be changed, though 40% of Americans and 78% of Republicans, that seems like a really heavy lift. The notions I've laid out are just one guy's opinion. It may be that several of these thoughts have, or variations of them, have merit, or none at all. And wiser minds undoubtedly have better ideas and options. But two things I'm sure of: that it will take all of us to be the change, and that faith, hope, and love call on us to envision and then bring to pass the more beautiful worlds our hearts know is possible. May it be so.
We are called to use to build a common good.
This month, our offering goes to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder to support the work being done in our homes, our church, and our community. I invite you to give as generously as you are able. The ushers will now pass the baskets, or you can scan the QR code, which may be and is in fact on the wall there and should be available to the folks at home. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies, they will all turn out, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. That love and friendship on that day, hurrah, hurrah, the choicest treasures then displayed, hurrah, hurrah, and let each one perform some part to fill with joy the warrior's heart, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. The old church bell will peal with joy, hurrah, hurrah, to welcome home our darling boy, hurrah, hurrah. The village lads and lassies say, with roses they will strew the way, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching Get ready for the Jubilee, hurrah, hurrah. We'll give the hero 3 times 3, hurrah, hurrah. The laurel wreath is ready now to place upon his loyal brow, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. Johnny comes marching home.
Thank you, Deborah. Please rise with me. As we go forward into this frightening, exhilarating, confusing, miraculous world, may we offer our comfort to the afflicted, our love to those who are lonely, and our wish for all to be safe. Amen.